So welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about image resolution. Okay, we're going to see how important image resolution is and how it can actually impact your overall design. Okay. So we have the image resolution. You can see that the image here is kind of pixelated. It's not that clear. It's not sharp. It's not something that you can actually work with. Okay. Well, this can actually be scaled up or somehow and still not have really good impact. So we're going to see how image resolution kind of just affect the whole design. So let's look at it here. So image resolution refers to the number of pixels in an image. Okay, the number of pixels in an image. We've talked about image dimension before. We mentioned image we mentioned pixels, we mentioned the print sizes, we mentioned millimeter, we mentioned inches. But when you're designing something for your screen or something that's going to be used digitally, we are going to be measuring most of it in pixels. Okay, typically expressed in height and width. Okay, it determines the level of detail and clarity of an image. Okay, the more pixels an image has, the more clarity it will have. Okay, the higher resolution means more pixels and the lower resolution means less pixels. Okay, then this can result in the sharper or more detailed image. So when you are using image and you want the image to be really sharp, use image with higher resolution because they have more pixels in them. So I'm going to open the Photoshop now because I just want to show you how this thing look like in the real world. Okay, all right, here we are in Photoshop. Okay, this is the image of this guy. I want you to pay close attention and I want to zoom all the way in. Okay, I want to zoom all the way until we get to these boxes that we are seeing. You can see that this image is made up of box. Now, these box are what they call the pixels. Okay, they are the ones that come together to actually make up the image. If I should go to the side, let me zoom out. Let me go to the size of this image and let's go to the edge. You can see that we have this image, these pixels are kind of fading out, and we have this one that's almost having the same color with this, but as it goes deeper into the image, you can see that there's this range of color, all this range of boxes, and they become more intense, and that is what makes image are mixed up of pixels. Okay, nothing else. They are made up of pixels. So the larger the image is, the more pixels it will have. And if there are thousands of pixels in this image, it's going to result to the more quality that it's going to have. For me, I regard this image here as a low quality image. Let me open another one so that you can see the difference here. All right, I regard this one to be a very higher image quality because let me go in now. You can see I'm going in, I'm going in, I'm going in, I'm still going in, I'm still going in, I'm still going in, I'm still going in before I get to this point. Now, right on this one, see how many times I'm going to zoom in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm done. Okay, let's go back to the way this one was. I think it was something like this. And now let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. A whole 15 zoom before I could actually get to the pixels. So the more pixel an image have, the lower you can actually zoom in. So that's just one thing you should know. Okay, so we have the higher quality. I almost test some of them by just using this method. The other method you can actually use to actually go and say, okay, view and say actual size, and it's going to blow up. This is the actual size of the image. If I come here and I say actual, let me come back. Okay, and I say actual size. Here's the actual size. And this is the actual size. You can see it's smaller. Okay, this is the actual size, meaning the resolution. This is the actual size of this one. Look at the actual size of this one. So they are different. Okay, so let's go back to our slide. So we have pixels, density, and image quality. Okay, the density is simply how much of the pixels are there in an image, while the image quality can actually be as a result of more pixel density of that image. Okay, so we have the pixel per inch. In print, we have dots per inch. In digital design, we have pixel per inch. So there are ways that when you measure an inch of a design, for instance, let's say this is an inch, this part of this design, let's say it's an inch, how many pixels are in there? Let's go back to Photoshop. Let's say this is an inch. Let's say this is an inch. How many pixels are there in that inch of this image? Okay, so that's what they mean here. So it's a measurement of how many pixels are packed in an inch, okay, of an image. Higher pixel density generally leads to a higher image quality and final details. Okay, they affect both print and digital display. Okay, that's one thing you should know. Then we have this one here now. So we have the 72 ppi, we have the 150 ppi, we have the 300 ppi. You probably must have seen this when you're trying to design it. Ask you what's the resolution, and you type in 300 ppi. This is exactly what you're saying. So this can actually translate into the real world, that when you are designing and you design in 300 ppi, meaning the image is going to be packed together. You can see that this one has a kind of a final look. This one follows, then this is kind of separated. If you are designing something and it's going to be used digitally, please don't go anything above 72 ppi, because that's just how much your machine most times can actually display image in, okay, or video in. Don't go above this. Okay, if you are going above this, you are just killing your machine, and you're going to be struggling to play most of them, and that's the highest you can actually even just go. But in the print world, you can actually go as far as 300 ppi. This is not just the highest, you can go way beyond above this, but this is kind of the, let's say, kind of the benchmark. Okay, don't go above this, because you're going to be stressing your machine out while you are designing. Okay, there's a whole process of trying to upscale an image after you finish designing it so that it can come to this 300 ppi. There's a whole process with that. I believe we'll come to that in the design part of the course. Okay, I don't know which part of the course you are taking right now, but I believe you're going to see something like this later on. So if this is an inch, okay, which is 254 centimeter, how many inch now? So we're having 10 ppi, like that is 10 pixel per inch. So if you count here now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in this 1 inch of an image, let's say in this image, no, let's use this one. Let's say in this image, for instance, when they measure it, they discover that in 1 inch, they discovered we have 10 pixels. Remember, it must be in square, upward and sidewards. So we have 10 pixels, and we have 10 running down. Let me give you a more practical aspect of this. Okay, I want to measure pixel. I don't know if my Photoshop has been, okay, it's in centimeter. Let me just quickly switch it to inch. Okay, now we are having it in inch, so let's just go down. This image is really poor. Come on, I can't believe this. Let me shift all this so that I see it. This is a really poor image quality. Okay, now we have 1 inch. Okay, this is 1 inch, this is 2 inch, and this is 3 inch. So we are having like 3.4 inch. But for the height, we are having 1 inch, then we're having 2 inch, like 2.1 inch. This is a very poor quality image. And now they are saying how many. Let's say in this 1 inch, we're having 1 and 1. How many do we have? So we're going to zoom in. This is kind of really large in a bit, but not that large. Okay, so this is how you can actually count. So if you can count how many pixels, let's go all the way in now. Oh man, there are a lot of it. Okay, but just for example's sake, if you should count, if you are able to count, I don't think anybody's going to be able to do that. So you can actually just get that correctly. So that's just for example's sake. So if this one now, you're having more pixels here, we have 20 pixel per inch. So if this is 1 inch of the image and we're having 20 ppi, 20 pixel per inch, we're going to have a more refined image. Okay, just like we have here in this different image dimension. Okay, so we're having this one is pixelated because it doesn't have much pixels, or we have this one really smooth. So the print resolution is dots per inch, like I said before. So in the digital world, we have the print per inch. In the print world, we have dots per inch. Okay, so the higher dots per inch value means more dot or pixel per inch, resulting in a more sharper and clearer print. Typically, 300 dpi is considered standard for higher print. So when you are designing and you say 300 ppi, it's the same thing as 300 dpi. Okay, that's just one thing that print world and the digital world kind of just agree on. Okay, so digital display resolution. We've talked about resolution before, but when it comes to the way you see or interpret resolution in the digital world, you hear something like HD, Full HD, 4K, Retina display. Okay, so in the real world, we are having this one now. Okay, the print world, we are having this one. They kind of have a more smoother look. Why in the print world we have dots per inch? They are not in pixels, they are in dots. Okay, that's just one thing you should know. That's the difference. Okay, so we have on this one digital display now. We have the 4K HD. This is the way we just call them in the display world, like the digital world. So impact of low image. Please try as much as you can to avoid low quality image in your design, because it's going to show up, it's going to affect, it's going to make your design, no matter how good your design look, if the image quality is poor, I bet you, believe me, it's just going to ruin your design. It's going to ruin it. So try as much as you can to avoid low quality image, or else you are just designing something that is going to appear on a very smaller part of the screen. Maybe a logo that is going to be appearing a very insignificant part of your total design. It is fine to actually use a low quality image so that you can actually display. Remember, the size is what matters. Okay, so choosing the right resolution. When selecting image resolution, consider the purpose and the medium of your project. We've talked about this before when we talk about dimension. Always, your dimension always determines that. Where you are using it on, the platform you're using it on, always determine the resolution you choose. If you know you are posting something on Instagram and you want your image to be very sharp, don't go and use poor quality image, because your image is going to look like a mess right there. But if you know you are doing something and you are using it as a logo on a website and the image is going to be really small, fine, because when that small quality image gets down to a smaller size, it's going to look a little bit sharp. But when you scale a low quality image really big, it's going to look blurry, and that's not what you're going for, because you want your image to always be sharp. So we have the image file format and compression. We have the JPEG, PNG, and the TIFF. There are so many other file compression, but the one that actually baffles me most times, at least in the beginning, was the JPEG. Whenever I save a file and I save it in JPEG, the file is always smaller than when I save it in PNG, because PNG just have a lower file compression and just give you some of those file raw. And sometimes people save in lossless, like the TIFF. If you save in TIFF, it kind of have I think it has a bigger file size to PNG, but JPEG is kind of low, and this one is mainly optimized for digital display. All are optimized for digital display, but I don't think even some platforms won't accept TIFF. That's just the truth. So most times, if you take your file from your raw camera, the file format may look different. Okay, so you have to balance the need for a smaller file size with your need and the resolution you are going for, because the bigger the compression, the bigger the file size. Okay, so most times when I want to send a file to my printer, is in PDF. When I want a transparent logo, I go for PNG. When I want something that is going to be displayed with that transparency, I may go for JPEG. So it just depends on what you're going for and what the need of that design may be. So upscaling or downscaling. When you upscale an image, you are increasing the size. Okay, so an image quality may be low and you upscale it, and that's what AI is actually coming in now. You have a poor quality image and you upscale it, you're increasing the file size, and somehow you may also increase the dimension, which actually would result in increasing the quality. So when you downscale a high resolution image, can also help to optimize it for maybe the display. Maybe we want to use that image for web. If you downscale it, you're actually reducing the size. You're actually just reducing its dimension too. So when it displays on the website, it's not taking longer time to load. So most times, those who design for the web always optimize that image to a very smaller file size, still maintaining the quality, so that when people are loading that page, the response time does not take that much. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you're able to learn one or two things from these things. Remember, what we are discussing here are just theoretical things, but there are things that when you sit down to design, these are the millions of thoughts that goes through the mind of a designer, and those help them to make the right choices so that they don't make errors. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video. Hope you find it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.